It's drag racing right here on Between the Slicks, where we talk about it all concerning the world of drag racing, from media personnel to people behind the wheel. We are going to talk drag racing right here on Between the Slicks. Make sure, hit that like button for me. Hit the share button for me. Go get a fellow motorhead on right now to watch Between the Slicks. And let's talk some drag racing before later on tonight, we're going to have Rob Hunnicutt. That is the plan. Rob Hunnicutt, Pdra Pro Nitrous competitor. Also, he does the motorcycle thing as well. We're going to get the scoop on all of it with Rob Hunnicutt later on tonight. Sam, hello to you. Thank you for watching. Glad to have you here on the show and enjoying it. Let's talk drag racing, folks. First of all, I got an interesting message today via Twitter. Brian Loans messaged me. They were needing some footage, the NHRA, that, well, I had, and they're going to be using it in an upcoming interview with Richard Hartman concerning the mile-per-hour run that broke the record, the first one with the fuel altered. They're going to be talking to him about that. Looking forward to seeing that. Definitely, I will share that to Monday Morning Racer when that comes up. Mad Bro Motorsports, slamming Sam, my co-host on the Competition Plus Power Hour. He says, y'all, Lee is a superstar. I don't know about that. Maybe I'm definitely not no white dwarf or whatever the small ones are. I'd be one of those big ones, you know, the big burning ball of gas. That's more like me for sure. But man, thank you for chiming in. Colton Jordan, the ADRL announcer. ADRL will be kicking their season off at the end of April at the Texas Motorplex. Looking forward to what is in store for the ADRL this year. They come back on the scene last year in the midst of COVID, and they have a good year. And now we are in a year where things are getting back to normal. Definitely, I think you're going to see some spectacular crowds in the ADRL seats watching Pro Extreme and other classes, such as Mountain Motor Pro Stock, running at the ADRL. Again, folks, later on tonight, Rob Hunnicutt, we're going to have him on the show. We'll be talking to him about Pdra Pro Nitrous competition, also what he is doing in the motorcycle world, why that transition was even made, and excuse me, and what is happening recently for him. He's got some grim news that you may have already heard about concerning the Pro Nitrous efforts. Already a bit of a setback. Definitely, though, while we've got this time, what do you want to talk about in the world of drag racing? Feel free, put it in the comments section. Let's talk. Let's talk everything between the slicks and the slicks themselves. Let me also mention Stupid Fast Racing. You can find them on the web, stupidfastracing.com. You can find them on Facebook, Stupid Fast Racing. They are a merchandise outlet, and that is where you can pick up great Funny Car Chaos merchandise. If you're looking for Funny Car Chaos merchandise, guys, check out Stupid Fast Racing. They stepped up with the issues that are happening with Red Line Shirt Club. Don't forget about those guys. Check them out as well. But those issues, Stupid Fast Racing stepped up, and they are getting out the Funny Car Chaos apparel. I wanted to mention them. Go check them out. So, Colton, we can talk about a dying RVW class, Radio versus the World. Wow, man, you bring that up. You go right there, and yeah, car count was low from everything that I understand with Sweet 16, and there was apparently a lot of breakage. I remember looking at first round elimination footage and thinking to myself, where is everybody? So low car count, breakage, RVW might have played itself out. And I believe most people are saying that, Pro 275 is really the next frontier. I think, for example, with PDRA, people need to be paying attention to Pro 632. Great class, a lot of competition. It is tight. More cars are entering into it than any other class, it looks like, at PDRA right now. Good things ahead for Pro 632. Maybe not so good things for Radio versus the World. In that world, I will say this, though, Colton, and let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are. How do you feel about this? And I'll set it up this way. I saw a meme earlier this week concerning dirt track racing. I'm a fan of all motorsports, and this picture had presented a safety matter. This safety matter was, you've got this guy in a front-wheel drive type of racing machine on a dirt track, and as people noted, look, it's not so much the absence of gloves. It's not so much the absence of a Hans device or a neck collar. You could clearly see his head above the bar for the roll cage of the roof rail. That's no good, folks. I don't know if you've watched dirt track racing at all, but they do flip. They flip more often, it seems like, than the asphalt guys, except for Talladega. Let me put it to this with drag racing. We are seeing a phenomenon with flying cars, and it's not a matter of if. It used to be if it will happen. It is now a matter of when will it happen. I'm sure they're starting to take bets, not just on who will win, who will break a record. That's what we're almost always talking about with the duck style races. Who will win? Who will set records? Because it seems to happen every time. But add into that scheme also the who is going to take flight. Where do you stand? Are you an individual that, hey, they're racers, they're taking the risk upon themselves, they know what they're getting into, and if it happens, they put themselves in the car? Or do you side with me, for example? I think sometimes racers can be their own worst enemies, and we've got to figure something out with cars going airborne. Before a driver gets hurt, before someone in the media gets hurt, before someone in the stands gets hurt, no telling what might happen. Cars were not designed to fly. I know we're missing out on what the Jetsons told us we could have, but we're not there yet. We are not there yet, and we definitely don't need to be pioneering it in drag racing. If you want to race in the air, go to Reno. Let's see, what does Colton say? Colton says here in the comments section, and Brad Edwards blowing the roof off the car and cutting the putter shell off his trailer to use it as a roof. Well, desperate times calls for desperate measures there, Colton. That's another issue. I have never seen a car lose its roof like that in drag. That was wild. I don't think I've ever seen that. Sure, seen funny cars go convertible because they pop the supercharger and they blow something, but wow, lose the roof on a door car, make it a convertible. That is just wild. I would love to know the diagnostics on that. Like, how did that happen? Was there a windshield failure first? What was the slow-mo? Would love to look at that and see what happened on that run. Folks, this weekend, what is in store? What is in store for Monday Morning Racer? Well, upcoming this weekend for myself, I will be at Gallatin Motorsports Park for the PDRA season opener. PDRA season opener at Gallatin Motorsports Park. Folks, if you are anywhere near, matter of fact, if you're not even anywhere near, if you just want good drag racing, competitive drag racing that is diverse, you need to be at Gallatin Motorsports Park, south of Raleigh, North Carolina. Here's the lineup, and this isn't all of it. Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, Pro Mods, Extreme Pro Stock, a.k.a. Mountain Motor Pro Stock, Pro 632, or as I like to say, Diet Pro Mod, Great class, though. Top dragster. And folks, when I say top dragster, there's elite top dragster, like 16 run for a different prize. And then there is a whole field of top dragsters. It seems like it goes on and on and on. And I don't know about you, but top dragster should not be looked over. There are some stellar top dragster cars and drivers out there in the drag racing world. Top sportsmen, same thing. You got the 16, you got others competing in the bracket field, a whole bracket program. There's also pro street, not to mention the junior dragsters and what they're doing. Folks, you need to get to Galat Motorsports Park and check out PDRA drag racing for sure. My thoughts on this upcoming weekend. We might have to dodge a little bit of weather. It has seemed to be improving for Sunday. The last time in which I looked, it was about 60% for Saturday, the actual day for eliminations. But PDRA should get this first event in no problem. Testing has already been underway, and there have been some stellar runs. I'm excited to see for the first time Chris Klein. Chris Klein, he has brought Fury out. I cannot wait to see that car in person. I've been dying to see it. I know Colton Jordan has seen it at an ADRL event. Definitely cannot wait to see that event. Melanie Salemi is in action. Always a wild card. And for Pro Boost, let's start there, mentioning Melanie Salemi and Chris Klein. Pro Boost, I think a car with Galat on it is going to win. I know. It's at Galat Motorsports Park, and going with a car that has Galat on it, that's easy. But look, you got to win in your home turf. You got to do it in front of the boss. A car with Galat on it is going to win. Who do you think that's going to be? Who do you think with a car that has Galat on it? Which driver do you think that will be in the winner's circle? Hey, Pro Nitrous. Well, we're going to be talking to a Pro Nitrous competitor in just a few moments, and I think eventually this man's going to have something to say for the likes of, Jim Halsey and Tommy Franklin. But until then, I think Tommy Franklin is going to get the win in Galat. Now, with saying that, I will not be shocked. If Jim Halsey does continue the dominance that he has already put in place. He was right there with Tommy Franklin last year, just couldn't nip and get a win. And then he goes into the shakedowns. And ever since the shakedowns, nobody has been able to touch this dude. So watch out for Jim. Watch out for Tommy. The story also in Pro Boost, they are allowing screw blowers in. That is going to be interesting. Right, Scott, right here, you called it, bud. Side piece on big tire, screw blown. Look, Pro Boost, I think, has got some great stories this year. Pro Nitrous, it looks like it's going to be another fight between Tommy Franklin and Jim Halsey. There's some other players. Don't want to count anybody out, but there are some other players. But those two guys are on top of the mountain. And Extreme Pro Stock, or Mountain Motor Pro Stock, guys, I think it's going to be a JR Carr, Johnny Placino battle to the death this year. I think that's what it is going to be. I think Johnny Placino will be the one to still edge everyone out because of the driving skill and ability that he does have. But look for JR Carr to definitely make it tight. It will not be the case that Johnny Placino, I think, goes into the finals of the PDRA and he's got it sewed up just by coming onto the property. I think it's going to be a fight right down to the end. Colton Jordan, what's the story with Rivenbark getting replaced by Daniel Ferris? I don't know, man. That's a question I've got. That's something that definitely when I get there tomorrow, I am going to be in the pits trying to find that story. I want to know that myself. What else did Colton say? I didn't watch the last test pass the pros made at PDRA today, but this morning in the heat, of the day. Randy Rutherford went 366. I think the next closest pass to him was a 371. That's crazy. I agree. Now, Galat is a place that you can do it at. That track is phenomenal as an 8th mile facility. The numbers are going to be laid down. If we get optimal weather, no telling what might happen. We might be leaving the PDRA for this weekend, and when it comes to PDRA records, never know what might fall and be reestablished. Definitely with someone like Jim Halsey on the scene, and, well, what are the screw blowers going to be able to do? Interesting that you've got now 4 combinations in Pro Boost, and I do wonder, once I get to the pits, are there any turbo cars? I have not noticed anything in testing. I haven't seen any footage. Is it truly going to be a turbo, centrifugal supercharger, roots and screw blown situation? Scott, he chimes in. Pretty sure King Tut got a 369 in the late testing. Hey, Tutterow and Kurt Stedding, that's another game. Keep your eyes out on them. Look, guys, last year, going into the final race for the PDRA, there was a mathematical chance that 5 people had the opportunity to win the Pro Boost Championship. Mathematically, 5. I think this year it's going to be just as competitive. And you're going to go into that final race with Pro Boost, and it's like, who's going to win it? And it's going to be some nail-biting situations in PDRA drag racing. I'm looking forward to their year. Look, enough PDRA. We're going to be bringing on Rob Hunnicutt in just a few moments. He's back in the studio. I cannot wait to get his opinion on a few things with PDRA competition, especially in Pro Nitrous. NHRA. Coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, the Las Vegas 4-wide, the Denso Spark Plugs 4-wide. Right now, this is how things sit. Top Fuel, the entry list right now is at 14 top fuelers. The entry list for Funny Car, 17 Funny Cars. Pro Stock is sitting at 16 Pro Stockers. Mind you, that will be one of the lowest car counts for Pro Stock since before Pomona of 2020. They have been having full plus fields for most of the time. If they stay at 16, that will be the first time they are just at 16 cars in a while. Pro Stock Motorcycle right now, listen to this, folks. Pro Stock Motorcycle right now, entry list for the Denso Spark Plugs 4-wide Nationals, 11. I am surprised by that, to hear that Pro Stock Motorcycle of the pro categories is having the challenging number situation concerning class entry. Death Trap Hot Rods, he chimes in, says PDRA has got some great race. Man, yes, it does. I don't know why everybody cracks on the PDRA. Oh, it's only 8th mile. I love what the PDRA is doing with Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, Extreme Pro Stock. You got so many cars. There is drag racing action all day, and they are top quality cars. Would love for them to bring in nitro injected dragsters. That would be cool. Maybe we'll see that one day. I'd like to see that. Maybe they'll bring in Alcohol Funny Car one day. That'd be another cool addition. With saying that, love what the Midwest Drag Racing Series is doing. Sam chimes in. He says, I think that anytime there is a reoccurring problem in any class, it should be addressed before someone gets hurt. Racers know the risk and accept them, but we don't need any unnecessary risks. I agree, man. You got a reoccurring issue, figure it out. For example, when you look at like Leah Pruitt's wreck, there was 2 by Larry Dixon and 2 by the Australian top fuel driver. The name fails me now. And the industry got in on it and said, okay, what's going on? We got to fix this. We got to fix this now. And it was years until Leah had her incident. And right after Leah's incident, there's talk again, we've got to fix this. I don't hear that talk quite so much with the door cars. Instead, it's almost as if it's in defense of what's happening. I hear people say, oh, we can fix it. Well, if you can, why haven't you fixed it? Please don't ever make that sound again, buddy. I have no clue what you're talking about, Jordan. I'm rolling on in this show. I don't know what you're talking about. And speaking about rolling on, folks, we're going to bring our guest on for tonight, Mr. Hunnicutt. Right after this break, we will have him on live, and we'll talk drag racing right here on Between the Slicks. This word from Power-Built Tools. Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. Rob, man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Man, doing great. We can hear you. You can hear us, obviously. Great to have you on the show tonight. Well, look, let's kick it off right here with some not so good news. I already know about it, but I'm just going to let you explain to everybody the current situation for Superman concerning this weekend at the PDRA.
We went to Fuel Tech this we left Monday, got down there Tuesday, unloaded the car, went to warm it up, and something in the drivetrain or in the valve train broke. So we ended up basically made a 14-hour trip down there. Didn't get to make any pulls on the dyno. Had to load it back up, get it up to Sandy Wilkins, and he was there with his crew ready. As soon as we got there, it was about 10 o'clock that night. He pulled the motor out of the car and started pulling it apart to figure out what it is. And as we speak right now, the head should be back at CFE tomorrow morning, and they are trying to diagnose what actually happened. So we aren't going to make season opener, which is really disheartening for us. We spent all season, our off season, just dotting every I, crossing every T, trying to make sure that we had what we felt was a legitimate shot at running for the championship. It's going to be kind of, a little harder now to do that, missing this race, unless for some reason it does get rained out. It doesn't look like it. Looks like maybe they'll have some rain on Saturday, but I don't think it's going to wash it out. Once they get qualifying in, they'll, if anything, probably just carry it over to the next race. I think we had to do that a couple times last year. So needless to say, it's really disappointing for me, for my sponsors, strutmasters.com, Full Spectrum Power Batteries, F&M Fire Protection, Cliffs Heating and Air Condition, R&B Racing, and Wilkins Racing Engines, for us not to be there showing what we worked on all winter long to come out with. So I guess it's pretty much we're going to have to wait till the second race of the year in Kentucky. Bowling Green will be there. Fingers crossed. Doesn't look like there's going to be anything that'll stop us from doing that. We'll just have to we'll probably have to leave a week before the race to head down to Fuel Tech and get the thing back on the dyno and get this thing worked out.
Man, like I said, bummer to hear that. Sorry for you and your team. I know y'all were looking forward to, going drag racing down there at Galot. But yes, some positives before all of this. Welcome to the strutmasters.com family, man. How'd that work out?
I actually reached out Chip and he was responsive to me, and we had a talk and came up with a deal that worked for both of us. And hopefully this is just the beginning. Like I told him, it was kind of late in the off season for him to bring us on, but he felt that it was good for his company, and hopefully we can get a little bit of the strutmasters.com luck, and I guess it's luck. A lot of people say luck's better than, I guess, better thing or other things, but I think if we're looking, hopefully we can get some of that strutmasters.com luck like Johnny Placino did. It really helped them, push them over the top to a championship, and that's kind of what we were hoping for.
Yeah, man. I know you can park with all the other pro Nitrous guys, but maybe just park next to the Placinos and let everything rub off. I mean, maybe that just is what everybody needs to do. It's definitely been impressive to see what Johnny and John have been able to accomplish. But you definitely are not, you're not shy in standing with success. You've obviously had success in your drag racing career. And I want to show this clip, and then we can talk about your program, because to me, it's different from everybody else that's out there right now. So let's look at this run from last year. Boom! Round one victory over Jay Cox there in the Pumpkin, and I believe that was the first round win last year for the team, and y'all are looking for more of that. First, talk to me about this. You're in pro modding essentially, and you're running a Mustang. And you're like one of the few, and it's a modern one. It's not an old one. It's a later model. So why? And thank you though.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Mustang fan. I guess I've had several Mustangs, street cars, and when we saw this car, we were in the process of looking to get a new car built, and this was in 2016, 17, I think it was. And my crew chief, Donnie Thompson, hit me up and he said, "Hey, you got to check out the new Mike Castellana Mustang that Jerry Bickle just did." So he sends me pictures of it, and we were like, we've got to get a car like that. That's the body we were going with. We weren't sure. We didn't want to be just another Camaro. You know what I mean? It just seems like everybody was going with the new Camaro bodies, or a 69 or 68 Camaro. So it was like, wanted to do something different. And when we saw the car, it was really, it's like, that's it. That's what we got to have. And then Mike got the deal with Al-Nabi to drive the blower car. So that Mustang, we figured maybe was coming available for sale. So I reached out to Jerry and was like, "Hey, calling about that black Mustang. I see Castellana's going with the blower car. What is the deal with that Mustang?" And he said, "Well, that's going to be going to Shannon. They're going to put Shannon in that car, but we could build you one." And we talked some numbers, and at the time I really wasn't I was like, well, I don't think I'm on that level, of buying that kind of car. I didn't realize how much it was. So we ended up going in another direction. I bought a body, the same body, and ended up having another builder build a car for me. And we ran that 2017, 2018, we ended up running that car. At that time, I get a phone call, look at my phone, and it says Jerry Bickle. So I'm thinking, did I order parts or anything? So I answer him hello, and he says, "Hey, Rob, it's Jerry Bickle." So I was like, "Oh, okay. This is pretty cool to have Jerry call you." And he says, "Hey, I got a Mustang for you." And I said, "Well, I already have a Mustang." And he said, "Well, you don't have the Mustang that you wanted." He said, "Remember you called me about that black Mustang?" I said, "Yes." He's like, "Well, if you're interested in it, it's at Ricky's shop." And at the time, I'm guessing, from what I understand, Ricky was going to use the car for him, but for whatever reason decided to go with a 67 Mustang when he was building the turbo car. So he tells me, he says, "Well, if you're interested in it, ride down to Ricky's, take a look at it, and give me a call. Let me know if you wanted it. You got 2 weeks." So I said, "Well, I'll head down there this weekend." So we took a ride down to Ricky's shop, and I spoke with Ricky, and Ricky was like, "Hey, I'll help you with it. Anything you need." And I made the phone call to Jerry and ended up purchasing the Mustang that I wanted in 2016, 2017. I ended up with it in 2019. So it was actually a pretty good deal. The car is amazing. It was probably at the time, I'm sure now it seems like every year they do something different, a little bit better. But at the time, I believe from talking to Jerry that this was probably one of the best, nitrous pro mods that he had built at the time. So it's got pretty much everything that can be titanium in it is. And like I said, it's been a excellent car for us. We've had very little tire shake out of the car at all. That was one of the things that with the old car that we had, man, it would rattle my brains out. We just couldn't get that thing to work nowhere near like this car does.
Well, hey, man, look, I was talking with Alexis Joria this week on the Competition Plus Power Hour, and she had tire shake so bad once that she chipped 2 teeth. So less tire shake, yeah, I'm learning, is better.
I chipped one. Yeah, I chipped my front tooth in the other car also. So yeah, it is. It's hard to explain to people when they ask. Sometimes it doesn't look that violent from the outside. Sitting in the stands, you see the car shake tires. Sometimes they don't even really realize what it's doing. They'll ask, what happened? Did he spin? And that's something that if you've never experienced is definitely something that you don't really want to ever happen again once it does it.
Right. In my mind, in the short time I've been doing all this media with motorsports and with the niche with drag racing, Mike Smith, Paul Smith's son, driving the New Englander funny car. It was at Reading, and the last qualifying round, they weren't in the show yet, and he stomps on the pedal, goes into instant tire shake. He gets out of it, and he doesn't bother to get back in it. And talking to him afterwards on camera, it shocked me how much it physically affected him. He was like, "Yes, my head hurts, and I'm having a little bit hard time getting the question and putting an answer together." So it's amazing how violent tire shake really can be. And yeah, there's just the only way we can experience it is go through it or from you all. And it shocks me when people make statements such as, "Oh, just drive through it." I'm like, guys, they're chipping teeth and getting concussed by the thing.
Right. Yeah. It literally, you break, a lot of times you'll get, the body work will get busted up from it. You can break bars in the chassis. You just don't realize it. We actually, back on when racing Pro Extreme Motorcycle, we actually had a video of tire shake on one of those bikes on one of my teammate, Ronnie Procopio, we put a camera on his wheelie bars. And when his bike shook the tires, it shook the tires so hard, it made his wheelie bars in the video look like spaghetti. I mean, they literally were, it was amazing that it straightened back up, but the bars were just bending during the tire shake. So, you know, it was that there was something that we had never seen before. And I couldn't imagine what it does in the cars, you know, to the tubing and everything else. Heim joints take a beating, U joints in the drive shaft. I mean, it is, you know, it's pretty bad when it does it. And some of the guys, you'll see them, I mean, car will jump off damn near off the ground.
Right. You know, well, there is footage, there is photos of funny cars, door cars, and other vehicles, but definitely when a door car does it, you can see air underneath the rear tires. Like, ooh, yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. But hey, the car is looking good. Let me bring this photo up. Added some stripes to it, a little bit of flair on it now, looking good. So, going to go anywhere.
Bruce Mullins. Yeah, Bruce Mullins did an excellent job. I spoke with him last year. We had some tire shake, busted the quarters up, you know, a little bit, and he happened to be going through the pits and come over. And, you know, I've known Bruce for years, even back when he was racing Pro Mod, and we were sitting there talking, and I showed him the quarters, and I just said, hey, you know, I think I'm going to go ahead and get this thing painted. You know, and he said, well, I said, when can you take care of it? And he said, as soon as the season's over, I'll give you a call, get the motor and everything out of it. And then when I call, just bring it over. And that's what we did. And I think it took him maybe 2 weeks or so. And I mean, he was kind of working around, he had a couple cars at the same time working on them. But I mean, just the stuff that guy does as a one-man show is amazing. I mean, he gives you the car. It looks like I mean, he literally details it afterwards. Owning, you know, a paint shop at one time, custom paint shop, it really, you know, you kind of see what it goes into doing these jobs and what it takes. And to see him do it by himself is, I mean, it's astounding that he's able to do it and to turn the cars out that he does.
Well, man, look, it is a stellar-looking car, good-looking Mustang. Glad it's out there in Pro Nitrous. I'm curious. I know definitely y'all are aiming towards PDRA. You know, you said earlier making a run for a championship, and definitely a setback with what happened. Any thoughts of running elsewhere? You know, like Shakedown or a Duck Race? You know, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably, you know, we're going to try to do some Northeast Outlaw races when we can. You know, the one thing a lot of people ask, you know, why do we run with PDRA? When they, you know, a lot of people will say, hey, if you ran some of the other organizations, you'd probably do better. And I don't know if that's true or not. The way I look at it is I've always wanted to run against the best. So I choose to run PDRA because I feel that they have the best nitrous pro mods in the country. I think that the competition is, you know, above everyone else. And I like the fact that we're racing nitrous versus nitrous. Not that, like I said, if we go to a Northeast Outlaw, of course, they have all the power adders running together. I'm not sure if it's fair to any of them, to whether it's if you had to slow somebody down or you're handicapping them because one combination is, you know, above and beyond everybody. So how the PDRA does, I really like that they have separated it. I think it's good for the nitrous cars because now there is no complaining. I mean, everybody gets along. There's no, oh, well, he has this, or, you know, we can't be as fast as him because he's making this much horsepower and our power can't make that. You know, I think it opens it up to a lot of different engine builders. You know, we got Sandy to come in and he has taken our program to another level. His attention to detail,
just how smart this guy is, coming from working with Roush Racing, working on NASCAR stuff and seeing, just those type of things that he knows and can, has seen things that work, things that don't work. I think it's really going to show this year once we get this engine back out there.
Well, you definitely hit on some things that I wanted to get to. You seem to be in favor of, not mixing again with Pro Boost for the long-term future in PDRA, because I have to agree with you. It's interesting. The PDRA has said, we're going to put nitrous cars here, we're going to put boost cars here, and you don't have all the squabbling amongst the nitrous crowd. And there oftentimes there's more cars in the nitrous crowd than there are in the Pro Boost crowd. So it's healthy, definitely, in the PDRA, and you are matching up against top dogs. Speaking of top dogs, how tough are those guys like Tommy Franklin and Jim Halsey?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, Halsey is on another level with Brandon Switzer's tuning and Eric helping. They are what everyone's trying to get to. And I saw where you were talking earlier, how everybody was kind of grouped together, and then he just kind of jumped out in front. Tommy is, two-time back-to-back champion. He's a bad dude. All of them are good. Jay Cox, Chris Reaney, they all, are tough guys.
Let me try. Can you hear me back with video?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Did I lose it?
No, you're good, man. You're good. Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, we did for a moment lose the picture there. That's cool. No problem at all. Hey, live, you never know what's going to happen, man.
Yeah.
So you talked about the combination with Wilkins Power, and you coming into Pro Nitrous, want to be competitive, want to run for a championship. Look, kind of running with a different power plant provider, so to speak. Do you feel like you're the underdog, or do you feel that you shouldn't be counted against when you show up at the PDRA?
No, that's why we went with Sandy, was because we didn't want to just be another guy on the totem pole. Maybe some engine builders aren't that way, but I believe that's how it ends up. I believe that when you go and join a team or an engine builder, there's always going to be a number one guy. And I wanted to be the number one guy. So when I met Sandy at the PRI show, Donnie Thompson, my crew chief, already knew him. So that was kind of a way for us to start talking about it. And Sandy, I wanted someone like Sandy that wanted to make a name for himself. He was opening his shop back up, and he kind of, I guess he already had a name, but I wanted somebody that wanted to put their foot into Pro Nitrous and make a statement, and he's that guy for me. And I think that he can make as much horsepower as any of these guys out there, and I think he's going to end up making more.
Well, I know last year y'all were definitely talking about you're still trying to figure things out, but that there was much more out there for what the program desires to have and get to. And I know y'all had the setback just this week, but it's going to be interesting with your desires and Wilkins' desires to see, even though with the setback, how far y'all go beyond where you were because of it. Try to keep the positive.
I really think we're going to win a race. I mean, we're going to win a race this year. I'm going to say that 100%. I believe we're going to win at least one race, if not more. And I say that with all the confidence. My team, Donnie Thompson tuning, T. Parker, Randy Hoffman, my guys work their butts off. And Sandy is so determined on making this thing work and making horsepower. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop us.
Boom. There it is, folks. Mark it down. Definitely looking forward to you in competition this year in the Pro Nitrous ranks. Hey, you mentioned the team. Look, yourself, the team, y'all have got a flair for marketing and naming yourself. So I want to go down a few names and like, why are these things connected and where do they come from? So Legion of Doom Racing. What is that all about?
Legion of Doom Racing is something that was started back in the 90s between me, Ronnie Procopio, and another racer, Mark Person. We got together. We used to race in an organization called ProStar, which was all motorcycle drag racing. And we noticed back then that there was another group at the time that had a name. They got a lot of publicity from Lewis Bloom was actually the announcer at the time. And we came up with the Legion of Doom. And, it was something that, as a kid, I was into wrestling. I think a lot of kids back then were. And Legion of Doom was my favorite wrestling team. So when we were trying to come up with something, I said, man, we're the Legion of Doom. And it just stuck, and we went from there. So now it's kind of grown. We've got, there's Ronnie Procopio, Johnny Mullican, Gary Klontz, Tony Hunnicutt, Robin Procopio, Troy Halsman, Michael Procopio. We've got, let's see, man, it's Nate Dogg is another one. And, it's just a group of guys that love racing, and we all have just helped each other throughout the years, and it's like a brotherhood.
Hey, man, look, I can dig bringing a little bit of wrestling flair into the drag racing competitive world. Randy
Ric
Macho
Flair.
Man Savage. Hey, I didn't take anything from him at all. You know what I mean?
No.
So, speaking of motorcycles, how long have you been doing the motorcycle thing, and where did the Superman motif begin? How did that all start? Take us back to Rob Hunnicutt and getting into drag racing.
Well, I started racing back in, 87, 88. So I had a 67 Camaro, and I started going down Budds Creek. And then after a while, I had a 69 GTO, ran that for a while. And then we just happened to have a couple friends that were racing motorcycles. And it just seemed to be so much cheaper to go fast on a motorcycle. So ended up, we all went out and bought motorcycles and started racing on a Saturday. We didn't take it seriously. We would go down Saturday afternoon, we'd race, and then we would end up leaving so we could go out to the clubs. So we weren't really taking it too serious. And then it just kind of progressed. And I raced motorcycles from 1989 until, I'm still racing them. I took a year off in 2012, but I've been racing motorcycles since then. And the Superman stuff, as a kid, I was always into Superman, and then I got a Superman tattoo. Well, I was working at a car dealership at the time, and the guy that was working next to me had a son. He was probably about 3 or 4 years old. We brought him to work one day, and we started you know, he brought his son in on Saturday, and I was just messing with his son, and I pulled my sleeve up, and I said, "You know who I am?" And his eyes got big. I said, "I'm Superman, but you can't tell anybody. You have to keep this a secret between me and you." And he was like, "I can't tell my dad." And I said, "You can't tell anyone." So I figured when he left there, he would tell his dad. Well, on Monday, his dad comes in, and his dad's like, "What did you tell my son?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I didn't even remember what he was talking about. And he's like, "My son said that you and him have a secret, and he can't tell anybody. He can't tell me." And I was starting laughing. I said, I pulled my sleeve up, and I said, "I told him I'm Superman, but he can't tell anyone." And he was like, "You got to be kidding me." So he brought him back probably a couple weeks later, and his son comes running over to me, and he says, "Hey, I still haven't told nobody." He's like, can you show me your suit?" And I was like, "I can't do that, and he can't tell anyone. I can't let anybody here know, because if they do, then they're going to want me to do stuff for them." And it just kind of went from there. I started having like little Superman symbols on my motorcycles and stuff, and it kind of turned into, you know, being called Superman by people. And then I used to be sponsored by Vance and Leathers. Well, I had all my leathers. I had a Superman logo on the sleeves, and they wanted to do a Superman suit, kind of like how they've done the Spider-Man suit for Larry Spider-Man McBride. And they told me, they said, "Look, we're going to build you a Superman suit." And I said, "I'm not wearing a Superman suit." And he was like, you got to wear it. We're going to build it. We already got your measurements." So they built this suit. It had a cape. It made it look like it had muscles all over it. They brought it to a Pro Star race in Indy, and they got me to get up on top of a motorhome dressed in a suit, the wind blowing with the cape flying. And ever since then, you know, I kept telling them, "Man, I don't know if I'm gonna wear this suit." And then some kids happened to see it, and they thought it was cool. And I just said, "All right, well, I'll start wearing it." So then I had a Outlaw Pro Street bike, and I ended up, everyone's like, "Why don't you have your bikes painted like Superman?" So I ended up taking my bike to Chuck Buckler, and he created this Superman themed bike, and it was a hit. And after that, everything we had after that was painted Superman. We had the car, the bikes, and I still have the suits. Every now and then I'll wear them, but you know, it's kind, now I'm getting kind of older, so it's almost kind of, I don't know. I think I'm kind of outgrowing wearing the Superman suit now.
Well, man, look, that's definitely a cool story, though, of how it came about. I always find it interesting, you know, why have people picked their, you know, most of the time it is their favorite superhero. Like, why do you have Batman on the car? Why is Superman there? Or why Iron Man or whatever? Why have you gone with this? That's a cool story, though. I thoroughly that's a cool one. I'm glad I asked. Glad I know now. So, look, Kyle Lang, PDRA chief starter. He's the guy that can tell you to back up in a burn down and y'all come back later. He asks, what gets your adrenaline going more, racing a bike or a pro mod?
Without a doubt, the car. I mean, because I've done the bike for so long. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but the bike to me has become kind of boring. You're basically point and shoot. You know, the car every time is something different. And I've just, you know, when I get behind the wheel of that thing, I cannot wait to do the burnout. I can't wait to launch. I can't wait to pull the chutes. Everything is just, it keeps you going the whole time.
So, all right. I know you might not have heard about this, but Mike Ashley says that by his own, the Mike Ashley, Pro Mod guy, he says that he is willing to pay for me to ride a Top Fuel Harley. So, any tips for me in the future of possibly being on a Top Fuel Harley?
I don't know that I would even ride a Top Fuel Harley. I mean, those things, you got to wear a flak jacket or a bulletproof jacket. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to ride that. That's the same thing like Larry McBride's Top Fuel bike. I have no desire to ride that thing.
Well, there you go. So, look, in the door car world, though, is there any interest beyond Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, Radial, anything like that? Or you're like, hey, let's get Pro Nitrous figured out first. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to run maybe Radial versus the World, try something like that. But I think right now we need to just concentrate on what we're doing. We have a long way to go. So I don't think that doing, trying to get into a different type of racing is really going to be the best thing for our program right now.
So most folks, I think it seems like in the stands, they look at people at high levels of competitive drag racing and they think they're all professional drivers. That's all they do is drive a race car. That's how they earn their main source of income. But especially in the pro mod ranks, that's really not the case. Most people are business owners. And from what I can tell, my research, you've got something to do with the glass industry. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you do?
Hunnicutt Glass Company. We've been in business since 1957. My grandfather started it, and my grandmother, and then my father and uncle took it over in 1969, and I actually took over in 1994, and I've been running it ever since. So, it's a family-owned business. Now my daughter's part of it. She's running the office and everything. My brother's always been a part of it. And, T. Parker, who's one of my crew guys, he works, he works for me. He's one of my best friends, been racing with me for 20 plus years.
So what type of glass are we talking about? Window pane glass, artisan glass, how big, how small? What are we talking about?
Well, we do commercial and residential. We do a lot of custom shower doors. We don't do any automotive glass. We used to do automotive glass, but there's just it's been taken over by the insurance companies. They dictate what you can charge, who gets the jobs. So we kind of got out of that back in the late 90s, and we've stuck with residential. We do a lot of apartment projects. We probably do about 300 plus apartment projects. We take care of all their broken glass. We do steel doors and frames, mirrors. We do a lot of replacement storefronts, new storefronts, tabletops. We do pretty much anything with flat glass.
All right. Well, folks, there you have it. Look, a lot of these drivers, especially in the pro mod ranks, they are, when they're not at the racetrack, they're doing a whole lot more in the world that you can connect with. And that's something about pro mod that I think so great, is that you guys are out there and you're driving these high-powered race cars, but y'all know what it's like to own businesses and go to work, and you're not out of touch with the so-called common man. I mean, you in the glass industry, and you said you got some paint and body experience owning that company. So, hey, people need to be checking out Pro Mod and definitely PDRA.
Yes, definitely. I mean, everybody out there, there's maybe one or two guys that kind of do this for a living that come and run, but I think almost all the guys have their own businesses. You know, they're just regular people. Nobody's you know, I think feels like they're above anyone. I mean, when you come through the pits, everybody's willing to talk to everybody. I mean, they're not going to give you their tune-up, but they're going to, they're going to talk to you.
Right.
Yes.
They're not going to give the tune-up.
There's really not many people that make a living doing drag racing. There's only a few that I know. I mean, Ricky Smith, who's probably my idol in this stuff. I mean, he's been doing this since he got out of high school, and he's making a living doing it. And to be able to, win as many championships and keep his program up where it is, I mean, that just says, what a great person he is racing. And I mean, to have companies that want to be associated with him.
Right. When you do enough digging, and it has been eye-opening to me getting closer and closer to drag racing over the last 2-3 years, just how many drivers, especially in drag racing, it's not like it is in F1 or NASCAR. They are bringing some type of partnership to the table, and they're in that car, or they, as you own a business and are successful elsewhere before they can ever be successful on the track. In Pro Mod, I mean, wow, you go through the ranks, Tommy Franklin, Eric Latino, yourself, others, just about everybody's got a connection to some other business that they have endeavors in. So, hey, guys, thank you for being the top weekend professional warriors out there in the drag racing world.
Well, that's exactly what we are, weekend warriors.
There you go. Well, look, Rob, man, I know you're bummed not being at the PDRA opener, but I know that you, Wilkins, and others, y'all going to be putting in the time and the effort to come swinging there in Kentucky for round 2 of PDRA action. Man, thank you for being on Between the Slicks tonight. I appreciate it.
Man, thank you very much. I want to thank my sponsors, strutmasters.com. You guys are great. Full Spectrum Power. If you need a battery, that's who you need to call, Full Spectrum Power. Cliff's Heating and Air Conditioning in Southern Maryland. If you got any needs for that, make sure you give Cliff a call. We got F&M Fire Protection, R&B Racing, and Wilkins Racing Engines. Best in the business.
Boom. There it is. Rob, man, thank you. Look forward to seeing you at the track, man.
All right, buddy. I'll see you.
Take care. Folks, Rob Hunnicutt, PDRA Pro Nitrous competitor. Again, thanks for being on the show, Rob. Folks, we are going to shut it down. We're in the shutdown area. Chutes have been pulled. We've cut the engine off. We're making the turn off the track. Great show as always, Lee. Death Trap Hot Rods, thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. Not sure who we're going to have next week. We will see as we're looking forward to the PDRA this weekend and next weekend, Las Vegas 4-wide. I will be there for Las Vegas 4-wide. Folks, stay tuned and tell your friends that love drag racing about Monday Morning Racer. I've got some irons in the fire for extra content, trying to work on post-race shows such as PDRA and even NHRA. So keep in tune right here on Monday Morning Racer. Elimination action from the PDRA will definitely be on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. Also, don't forget full eliminations from Funny Car Chaos. Also, I will be uploading soon the fuel-altered eliminations onto Monday Morning Racer. Make sure you like on Facebook, follow on Twitter, follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. And guys, until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.